more love, more joy, everything.
It's inspired young people.
Inspiration comes from within you. When you clear out the garbage that's in your mind, you then create space for something better, more beautiful to come in.
Let's have life and have it more abundantly.
I say yes.
It's like taking a workshop. I get to be in my pajamas.
We have a very active imagination, which is why it's important to learn how to harness it and then point it in the direction you want to go.
I listen to your show every day.
It's time now for Living Your Inspired Life with Susan Burrell. Susan is no-nonsense, inspirational, motivational, and fun.
This is positive talk radio.
Practical wisdom for everyday life.
It's a gift you give yourself.
Now, here's Susan.
And welcome to Living Your Inspired Life. You're listening to News Talk 1590 KVTA. And on Living Your Inspired Life, we're always bringing you something that's positive, life-affirming, life-transforming, life-growing, consciousness waking up, all that good stuff. So go to our website, livingyourinspiredlife.org, and check out the shows we've done. We're very proud of the work we are doing on the air here and on the website. So if you like what you hear, go and listen to more because we've got it all stored on livingyourinspiredlife.org. So today I have Living Your Inspired Life producer Joyce Sherwood with me. Joyce, say hey.
Hey, hi. It's good to be here, Susan.
So one of the reasons why we thought it would be good to have you on is because there's another component of what you do on Living Your Inspired Life, for Living Your Inspired Life, and it is Inspired Life Movement.
Right. Inspired Life Movement. I am a licensed brain gym instructor as well as a licensed spiritual counselor. And I have put these things together so that I am able to activate personal transformation through intentional movement and balanced thought. And that is Inspired Life Movement.
It sure is. So Joyce and I have been working together for a few years now. Wow, really? A few years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I've been able to participate in and watch and witness is this place where you have taken transformational consciousness work and used the brain gym components to really anchor down transformation that we're working on, or whatever change we want as individuals in our life. So let's talk a little bit about the brain gym, and then we'll move more into how they work together with the rest of Inspired Life Movement.
Right. I've been a brain gym instructor for 17 years, and brain gym is a program of easy physical movements that activate the brain, that connect the right and left side of the brain, help reduce stress involved in learning, and help. It's really can be a very deep connection of parts of the brain that just weren't talking to one another before. For kids and adults with learning challenges and even major learning challenges, those diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, autism, and also the challenges of keeping your backpack organized and keeping the dining room table clear and talking to your spouse, things like that, communication, organization, comprehension. So my experience has been that these movements are not difficult to do, but they are so very powerful and really transformative of nature in themselves.
You know, and it's funny because in our study group in Ojai, you've used a lot of these components, brain gym exercises, and we've had several times where we're all laughing hysterically because they feel, as adults, they feel silly movements, and yet each and every person, when you've done those exercises with us, has experienced a difference later on. Not necessarily immediately as we do it, but like during the week.
Yep. Some people experience notice a change right away. Some people notice a change later. But it's really, just over the years, I've just really become convinced on myself and the people that I've worked with that there's powerful change going on here.
Okay, and the other thing that you besides working with kids that may need a learning helping hand, you also work with some of the people that are in the senior years that are maybe losing their balance or their vision or their hearing. So talk a little bit about that.
I found that working with senior citizens, baby boomers and plus, people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, they really appreciate this work. Most of these 26 activities can be done sitting as well as standing, and they really help people with their balance and their focus and remembering names and where did I leave my car in the parking lot and things like that. So I found working with the oldsters has been really satisfying also.
So if I were to do some of these brain gym activities, I would be able to remember what it was I was going into the kitchen for.
It's gonna help you. Yep, it's gonna help you with that. Yep.
I didn't realize that. I guess I better pull those out and start doing some. So why? I just am curious about this part, Joyce. Why is it that it does seem to help elderly people? Is it as we grow, our brain disconnects or something, or what is it?
So the brain is very plastic, and you're always growing new brain cells. Your brain doesn't stop growing.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, it can get stuck in a rut and be a little resistant to change, but that's the kind of stuff that stimulates and grows more brain cells too.
Wait, hold on. You just said change stimulates and grows more brain cells.
Right. Change that stimulus to the brain causes new cells to grow.
My gosh, I love that.
Our brain isn't dying off. It is still active.
Oh, I can't even tell you how many. I was just with my folks, and they're turning 80, and they've decided that there isn't. I mean, they learn a lot, they read and stuff like that, but I think there's a place where they've decided that the forgetfulness or the imbalance in their movements is something they can't do anything about.
Yeah, and you really can, and of course there are physical limitations, but I tell you, everybody can benefit from these activities. That's really something I've seen over the years is that those who want to give up, give up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Those who don't want to will always find a way to keep themselves moving. And reading and Sudoku and crossword puzzles are all good for your brain, and yet your body needs the movement. I often explain it to people of how your brain talks to your body, but your body talks to your brain too. And so doing these movements activates part of your brain that maybe needs woken up a little bit.
Huh. So when we first were working together, I was going through a major life challenge, and one of the things that you did, you came with me, and I got a whole bunch of information. I remember you said, "Okay, now let's go for a walk," and I thought, why? I have to go home and think about this. But the walking, that's one thing you've definitely taught me, is in the walking or the movement, it helps the assimilation and dissemination of the information.
Yeah, it helps them. It puts it in, more hardwires it in. When you get the movement involved, and especially sometimes a cross crawl movement as you're walking, to be able to touch your right hand to your left knee, your left hand to your right knee. That back and forth movement makes both sides of the brain work together, and that helps the information processing just sort of cog together just a little bit better, a little bit faster. One of the catchphrases from in the past for Brain Gym has been, movement is the door to learning. Yeah, and so that, sitting at your desk and being lectured at all day long isn't a way to learn. Learning has to occur in a context of understanding, and making it personal to someone is such a deeper learning experience that really sticks with one.
Well, and it's interesting because I did grow up in the place of you sit at your desk and you get lectured to and you take notes, and then when it's time to write your term paper or whatever it is, you sit. Okay, I would sit until it was done.
Right.
And 2 hours later, I'm still sitting, getting it done, hammering it out.
Right.
And since my work with you, I notice now, like when I have to give a talk, a half-hour talk when I'm lecturing at places, and I'm stumped, it's not flowing, I get up and I just walk around my living room.
Okay,
just
good.
A couple laps around the living room just to get my whatever.
Right. You just need to get everything. Sometimes it's getting the blood moving in your body, getting fresh oxygen up to your brain. That alone. Oftentimes it's taking a drink of water. There are 26 brain gym movements, and one of them is to take a sip of water. Yeah, it
Wait,
really
that's
is.
a movement.
That's a movement. That's an activity. It's an activity, yeah, to have a sip of water, because by the time you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. And this, the water serves to heighten the conductivity between your cells and the neurons and keeps everything flowing so that the electrical impulses in your body can keep that information traveling to where it needs to go. People have had tremendous changes just from regularly drinking water, and not a cola, not coffee, not a caffeinated drink. Those leach water from your system. But your body is 76% water, and your brain is 90% water.
Wow.
It's just a big mushy stuff in there, and that is what keeps everything rolling, is the water.
And I bet with some of the seniors that you work with, the idea of just drinking water hugely improves their health and well-being.
It does. Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, I notice that a lot of people of a certain age are, they're used to their cup of coffee in the morning and in the afternoon, and anything else in between, they don't think about it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So one of the things about the brain gym component that you wanted to add in living, say it.
Inspired Life Movement.
Thank you.
Yes.
Inspired Life Movement is the connection that helps in the transformation and the anchoring of goals or intentions and everything. So let's talk a bit about that.
Yeah. So as we to evolve spiritually, we have goals and we have plans, and we often know where we think we want to go, but how do we get there? And there's meditation, and there's prayer, and there's classes to take, and those are all well and good, and I've done all those things. And for me, it's adding in the component of the movement of the body that goes along with this mental activity, the spiritual activity, and then throwing in these movements, to me, really makes a powerful package. And that, to me, is what Inspired Life Movement is all about. I have a graduate degree in library science, and I was a research librarian for 16 years. So I got used to thinking with the mind and where to go and how to look it up and what's next and how does that all fit together. And that's all well and good. And then with the brain gym, I involved the body and sort of often backing up to move forward. Like not meeting each person where they are right now. I don't need to know their whole story, but sometimes we need to sort of back up in movement-wise to instruct in how to do that cross-crawl activity, taking the right hand and touching your left knee, left hand touching right knee. Sounds easy enough, and most people who come to my office are not able to do that simple thing right away. So showing me that there's a disconnect. So I have the mind connection, connecting the body so that the mind works better. And then as I became more involved in spiritual work and spiritual counseling, and seeing that is, again, a place where people are often sitting, holding themselves very still and very tight, and that loosening up and moving the body with intention often makes, to me, that's my experience, is that for me that makes it a whole package.
Well, there's the place where it's such a subtle.
It is
thing,
often very subtle
because
yes.
you can't. You so many people. Well, we've been trained up until now to compartmentalize, right? So the body does this and the mind does that, and if you're practicing on consciousness and spiritual, that's what you get to do on your weekends, because meanwhile I got to make my body do the thing my mind thinks it's supposed to. And so the thing about Inspired Life Movement is that everything is now integrated. It's just a very nice fit. And because the work is so subtle, you don't realize that all three components are benefiting.
Right. Often we become so acclimated to the stress of our daily lives that we're not even consciously aware of it. It's simply become this accepted way of our daily routine. So we just keep pushing through it. We just keep pushing and pushing and struggling. And why are we struggling so hard? Why is it so hard? So I found that in learning and in life, to be able to reduce the stress that we're under helps our whole being relax so that it simply flows, so that life flows through us more easily. We're able to direct this energy that we have. We're able to harness our energy. We're able to focus it where we want to go. And that, to me, is a combination of thought and movement and intention. And our intention follows our attention. And so one of the things that I teach in Brain Gym is called noticing. And noticing is bringing your awareness, your attention to what you've already known and experienced. And a lot of spiritual modalities have that awareness. Being aware of yourself and how you're feeling is one of the first steps of being able to perhaps change what it is that you're feeling or you're experiencing, because as we know, you can't always change the world around you, but you do have control over yourself.
Right, and you are at choice about it.
Right. So
can I read?
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Go.
I want to just read something that Greg Braden said in his book, because I think it breaks down this idea of choice.
Okay.
And I got this out of the Divine Matrix that Joyce and I were working in and teaching up at our group at Ojai, Greg's book, The Divine Matrix. So he said in it, as the ancient spiritual traditions suggest, the invisible walls of our deepest beliefs can become our greatest prison. Yet they also remind us that it's our beliefs that can become our greatest source of freedom. The opportunity to be imprisoned or free is ours, and we're the only ones who can make the choice. And that's, Greg has done a whole bunch of research into all the different ancient spiritual modalities, and everything comes back to this place of being at choice. And you can't know you get to be at choice until you notice.
Yes, you have to notice where you are and what's going on right now, so that you can choose differently. To rise up above the feeling of being stuck, that this is what I have to accept, whatever is going on that I'm not happy with, and to be able to know that there's another way. It may not be apparent at this very moment, but trust that there is another way. And what I really like about combining Brain Gym and spiritual counseling is that the goal setting that's involved, the intention that's involved, because that's what makes both counseling and the Brain Gym movements really powerful, is when you have set a particular goal for yourself of how you would like it to be. And then doing these movements around that goal teaches your body, to me, it teaches your body how it would be if this were true. And so now you have a pathway. It's like someone shone a light down that path toward what your goal is. And now you have a way to go, one step in front of the other, where before you were struggling in the darkness, so to speak. And now there's a path that's been illuminated before you, and you have a way to go. And it's not that this is going to get you there right away, and yet you're moving forward. Any forward movement toward your goal is a positive thing.
So then, if you're not going to get there right away, do I need to do the Brain Gym exercises over and over again, or come in and work with you?
So the beauty of Brain Gym is that each session is whole, perfect, and unique within itself. We talk about what your goal is. We word it in words that mean something to you, that's very clear to the little person inside of you. Little Susan, it's very clear to her what this goal is. And then we do the activities around the goal. And I always have people do a pre and post activity. First, to notice before we start what it feels like in your body, if you're successful at doing it, whether it's a physical goal like hitting a tennis ball, or a goal more of being able to communicate in a loving way to your child what it is you want done, whatever your goal is. And everyone finds after they set the goal, they do the movements, and then we do this thing afterwards again, whether it's actually hitting a tennis ball or role-playing, talking to your child. I'm the child, you talk to me. Everyone notices that it's just a little bit easier. It's not as stressful. It feels more positive. And this is within the course of an hour that this change occurs. So then many things may branch out, and there may be tangential goals around that, or you may be something else. But I found that it's so It's so deceptively easy and powerful that a lot of things get taken care of very quickly. So it doesn't demand a lot of repeat and coming back. It's up to the individual. These are very self-empowering activities that you can do on your own. I know before I came to the radio station today, I did some brain gym to get my ears opened up and my thoughts going and thinking clearly and leaving behind whatever I had to leave behind to get here, so that I could be present and have my attention and my intention focused on this.
So these are some exercises that people can do before you go into a power meeting.
Any meeting. Before I tell my oldsters, before you go to the doctor, you want to do this. If you're going to sit down and have a conversation with your children about something very important, you want to have this. Anytime you want to be able to communicate, either listening or speaking, that here, just do a few of these activities. I often teach a 4-week class, and over the course of the 4 weeks, my students learn these 26 activities. And I say to them, trust that you will remember. If you only remember one, it's the one your body likes the best and wants you to remember, because that's the one that you will pull out when you need it, whether it's the cross crawl or the thinking cap or the gravity glider. They all have different names, and they're all mostly about relaxing the brain and body and then connecting the brain and body together so that so you're a whole working unit.
I, having grown up dyslexic, and you helped me with that by doing some of the exercises.
Was that a label that you got early on?
No, I didn't even know it until my brother, who's younger than me, was in college, and he took a psychology course and read about dyslexia, and he went, "Oh my God, that's what I am." And then we could all track it. My dad is, I am. My brother was severely. He's a phenomenal writer, but there was no. His grammar, his punctuation, his spelling was always messed up. So thank God my mom knew how to translate all his writing. But he had suffered all through school until he read that, and then he could, give himself a break.
Right.
I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
I have dyslexia, and I know I have it to a degree because I invert numbers when I write down somebody's phone number. Don't ever ask me to give you somebody's number. It just doesn't work out. And my spelling's atrocious, and it was kind of good to go, but doing some of the brain gym activities has helped me with that. And I did not realize how feeling at the effect of that also I can speak for my brother. I'm sure he'd be okay with this. I know that it causes us embarrassment.
Yes.
Because it's like somebody will say, well, I even ask my son sometimes, how do you spell a real simple word? And he looks at me like, Mom. And I'm like, oh man, it's just.
So many of the testing techniques that we've developed today to uncover things like that, to give, even though it's a label, at least what is. I'm not stupid. This is what it is for me. Yes, so many children have come into my office, and their parents are saying, as soon as they did this, I realized, oh my gosh, that's what I had when I was in elementary school. That was my problem too. So I often do brain gym sessions with parents and children together, and they both benefit from it.
Yeah. And it's interesting. The thing I like about all of this modality is that and this is, I guess, why I was bringing up the dyslexia for me, is that the integration of both sides of the brain.
Yes.
There's times in our lives we need one side working more than the other, the right brain, left brain thing. And I'm dyslexic, so I can never remember which is which.
But we all have for 90% of us, the left brain is the one thing at a time. It's the organized. It keeps everything in a row. It likes to sort of just take charge of things linearly. And the right side of the brain is what is often called the more creative side, but it's more the big picture side. It looks like the big picture, where the left side likes the details. And so this fallback, when we're under stress, we usually prefer one or the other. If you suddenly got a call that your checking account was overdrawn, a linear person would go to their checkbook and see what entries they made and where they might have made a mistake, where the the right brain person would see the big picture and go, oh my gosh, I have no money at all. Blah blah blah, and that's a fallback. But really, what we'd like to be is whole brained, to be able to use both sides of the brain together appropriately, so that we can act in balance when life throws us little tricks like that.
Yeah, well, and those are, and it's so funny you talk about overdrawn, because that happened to me yesterday, and I just started the new bill pay thing, and something didn't go through, and I did the big picture. Oh my God, what happened? And then I look, and there's money in the account. It was a bank mistake,
Right.
but so Brain Gym can help with that kind of emotional.
So when I get whacked out unexpectedly, there's certain Brain Gym activities that I go to that help, that I know from experience help calm me down and bring me back to the present. It's not making it go away or it doesn't make my emotional response. It doesn't invalidate it, but it makes it so I can deal with it. Yeah, so that I'm less reactive and more responsive in a situation like that. I found it to be really handy as my boys were growing up. I have 2 boys, and when they were struggling with their math homework, and there's an activity that is called a hookup that helps. It's a calming activity, and if they wouldn't do it because, it's mom's thing, and I don't want to do that. I found if I did that, it calmed me down, and then I'm able to be more effective as a parent. So,
man, I wish I had known that when I had my son was little, because there were times I just would go through the ceiling, and
yeah,
and they talk about parents having to give themselves time out. That's the perfect way to do it.
Right. So, like I said, these movements are about connecting the right and left side of the brain and the body. There's also 2 other parts that it connects, and we in Brain Gym we call it the connecting the head and the heart, connecting your intellect with your emotion, your head with your heart, your reasoning, so that you're able to, like I said, be more responsive, to be able to not be quite so reactive, to be able to have keep a calmer head about you. And then there's also a front-back component to it. The back of the brain, where our brain stem is the oldest part of our brain. It's the reptilian brain, and it's the fight or flight, freeze or flee, that kind of thing. And it tightens up the back of your body when it gets activated. And when we were cavemen and women, that would be activated by the roar of a tiger, or being in danger. Now a car alarm going off on the street can set that off, and the back of our body tightens up. And when the back of your body tightens up, the front part of your brain, the part that's right behind your forehead, the prefrontal cortex, is where we do our reasoning nowadays. And it can get disconnected, so that you're living in fear, rather than having this connection with the front part of your brain that's like, oh yeah, that's our neighbor's car alarm. Boy, I wish he'd get that thing fixed. But it's off already, and you're able to release the adrenaline that starts up, and to just be able to relax back again into what is life, rather than spending the rest of the day a little more keyed up than you might be, and so then a little more reactive and a little more touchy, when it's really these activities are a way to bring calmness to your body, and then that flows into your mind also.
And so that's the head and heart connection. I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
And all these exercises, you're going to start writing more of them down. We have one on the Living Your Inspired Life inspiration page that is, you wrote about it to help people get centered before a meditation practice. But it's a great thing to do before any kind of...
I think so. I think these activities that are on the website right now go by the acronym PACE, which stands for Positive, Active, Clear, and energetic, because that's how you want to feel when you're done with them. And they take 3 minutes to do these things, and it's very simple. I find it really effective when I want to sit down, when I want to do some meditation, if I want to have just a quiet contemplative time for 20 minutes, it helps me get in that zone right away. It's really simple and very effective.
Well, and so Joyce has had, being the producer of Living Your Inspired Life, Joyce has had us do, when we have production meetings, Joyce has us do this pace activity so that we're all on the same page, and it really does help. Everybody stops spinning and we can focus on what it is we're going to focus on. It's
really good for a group dynamic, like a classroom or a meeting, or when we have our production meetings, because everyone comes in from a different part of the town, and everyone has a different agenda, and everyone has different stuff going on, and it's a great equalizer so that people who came into the room with very low energy feel a little more energized. People who came in highly energized feel a little calmer, and it's Inspired Life Movement. The page on the website explains these activities with pictures too, and it's simply, I think, one of the most powerful things that you can do for yourself in 3 minutes to really change your attitude.
Change your attitude and change your perception.
Yes.
It really is a powerful modality. So you want to, I'm just going to remind everybody, you're going to want to go to livingyourinspiredlife.org and click on inspiration, and Joyce's, what's the title of it actually?
It's called What is Inspired Life Movement?
Oh, okay. So that's what you want to look at. What is Inspired Life Movement? So I'm talking to Joyce Sherwood, the producer of Living Your Inspired Life, and we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Susan Burrell from Living Your Inspired Life. I always find it easier and more fun to expand my life by being connected to open-hearted, like-minded people committed to being on the same path I am. If you feel the same way, I suggest you visit a Center for Spiritual Living. There are wonderful communities in Ventura, Ojai, Santa Barbara, Oxnard, Pleasant Valley, Camarillo, and Westlake Village. You'll find terrific people, great information, and more tools to help you live the life you were born to live. So go to csl.org to find a center near you. That's csl.org for a center near you.
And welcome back to Living Your Inspired Life. I'm Susan Burrell, and in studio with me today is Joyce Sherwood, who happens to be the producer of Living Your Inspired Life, and she has also developed something for us called Inspired Life Movement. So, and that we've been talking about that in the earlier half hour about the brain gym component with Inspired Life Movement. But to tee this up, I want to read one more quote by Greg Braden from his book, The Divine Matrix. If you haven't read it, gotta read it. Really good, isn't it, Joyce?
It's really great. It really is. I got so many new things out of there, and a couple of them were really like, wow, I didn't even think of that.
Right.
I mean, I couldn't, where did that even come from? But it really made sense to me. It's really mind expanding.
Yeah, he talks about quantum physics and then the ancient spiritual modalities and how it all comes together. So this is what Greg says, which fits very perfectly with Inspired Life Movement. He says, we're powerful beings expressing ourselves through the bodies that extend beyond the edge of ourselves to become the universe itself. By simply being who we are, we encompass the whole of creation, mirroring everything from the largest phenomenon to the minutest occurrence, from the lightest of the light to the darkest of the dark. So this is what I love about what Greg said here, is that we are these beings and we need to be. And in the beingness of that, we expand ourselves so that we're connected to everything all the time. I mean, we're connected to everything all the time anyway, but it takes being present or being in it to really recognize, I am connected to all of this.
Right. We are human beings, not human doings.
Yeah.
And so,
Thank God.
And so the being part of it is Yes, one of the aspects of Brain Gym is its worldwide acceptance. Brain Gym these activities have been used in over 80 countries around the world, and the Brain Gym books have been translated into over 40 languages. It's something that started here in the United States, but has really spread out to Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, China, Japan, as well as Germany, France, Italy have come out, and into South America now too. So it's really it's not perceived as being a stamped-in Western educational experience that someone from another culture would find foreign to them. These activities are simple and basic. A lot of them come from activities used by developmental optometrists and by acupuncturists and chiropractors, and even warm-up activities used by runners and other athletes. And it's the intention with the movement that makes it so powerful. Can we use the example of the runner, because I think that's interesting. Mm-hmm. I never would have thought. I did not. It didn't compute to me that we could do those things before an exercise activity. Mm-hmm. So let's just play that out. So I'm seeing the Olympic running stadium, wherever it is going to be next, and the guy's getting to the block. And if he were to do a Brain Gym, mm-hmm. So probably before he got to the block, he stretched his calf muscles. Mm-hmm. He made sure that the back of his body was limber and loose, so that he's able to propel himself forward. Well, that is also how we propel ourselves forward in life. When the back of our body is limber and loose, we are more willing to move forward and to move into whatever's next. And not only can we move into it, we are in a place where we can take in what's coming at us and process it and give it back out, so that information makes sense to us simply by releasing the tightness and the muscles in the back of our body. That's one way to look at it.
Well, so when you said setting an intention, like for a runner, mm-hmm. the intention is to win the race, right? Or what would be the intention? That what I like about Brain Gym is each person who comes to me brings their individual goal. So for someone who is in a race, perhaps the goal is to win the race, and then it's how to do that. My body is relaxed and fluid. I know where I put my feet. Each time that I put a foot down, I know where it is. Okay, those are affirmations now, you're saying.
That's affirmations, and goals are so alike. It is just, it is one and the same. That's why I found that in my spiritual counseling that the Brain Gym fits right in. An affirmation, a goal, how you would like it to be. Say it in a positive tense and positive way, and in a present tense as if it already were. And that's what many spiritual beliefs recommend as to how to move yourself forward spiritually, and adding in this component of the moving the body with those same things in mind, I think makes a real powerful.
Well, and the thing about the intentions or goals or mm-hmm. affirmations, if you will, is it's the whole being, like you said earlier. It's the whole brain gets activated by doing those kinds of speaking an affirmation as if it's already happened. Right. Everything becomes engaged there. So it's not just a spiritual thing mm-hmm. or a mental thing. It's a wholeness component.
It's a wholeness component. It's the body, mind, and spirit all engaged. Everybody's on the same page, and everybody's facing forward, and everybody's moving in the same direction. Yeah. And so that's how I feel that it is able to create such positive change. So one other thing that I like about Brain Gym and how it fits in with spiritual counseling is it's about drawing out from each individual what it is that they want, their innate sense of how they want to be, or how they want to learn, or what they want their life to look at. It's not a stamping in of this is how it should be and this is what you need to do next. It's very much honoring each person, honoring their individual path, honoring everything that it took to get them up here to where they are right now, and being ready to release that which no longer serves them, mm-hmm. and to being open to new possibilities, new ways of being.
As you were just saying that, Joyce, I was also hearing that you're open, the work that you do that we do, but the work that you do by adding in the brain gym thing, you're open to people really telling the truth about their dreams and desires, and that is, it's safe and okay to dream as big as you want to dream, because these activities will, like you just said, will point you all in the right direction.
Right. They will support you, and they will help you move forward. And then when you're ready for, often I say to people, when should I come back? When do I say, well, when you notice that you're stuck again, when you feel stuck in a place or you're at a plateau in your life and you want something else, even if you don't know what that something else is, that's the time to come back in for another session, because we will work through that and figure out what it is for you, what it is that you want.
Well, it's in my experience, I'm still just kind of like getting it. Okay, who am I now, and what is it that I want? And sometimes people will ask me that question. I'm like, I don't know. And to be able to have a place where I can find some freedom to even just explore it. Well, what would your favorite day look like, or any of that?
Right.
And be supported in uncovering it, or. When you mentioned stamping in, you know, this is the way it should be, and this is how you're going to do it. And we've talked on Living Your Inspired Life how that is a very archaic modality that, while it's still being seen in operation in many businesses and communities and countries and things like that, it is definitely the one that's on the way out.
Right. I think that Brain Gym is a paradigm shift into another way of being in the world. I don't think it's a panacea for all the ills of the world. However, I think it's a really big step forward. And because it is so easy to teach and easy to learn and goes across different cultures without offending anyone and being open, people are open to it. I think that it's really a tool to use for advancing ourselves.
So if you're listening to this conversation, I highly encourage you to consider doing some of these Brain Gym activities.
So there's a Brain Gym website. It's braingym.org. And at braingym.org, you can find a list of instructors all around the world. And you can find how to get in touch with an instructor near you. It's something that a lot of teachers use, a lot of counselors use, physical therapists and occupational therapists use it.
Well, I think what you just said, if you're at a place where there's change in your life, and we're just talking about moving from one stamped in modality into a place where you want to be more, be the big BE, more of who you are, then this is these are activities and processes that will open up doors. Like you said that in the first half hour, it opens up doors that you didn't even know were there.
Right. Yeah. These Brain Gym activities are simple exercises that create better brain organization. They switch on and hook up the right and left sides of the brain and the body, and that alone, that hooking up, that connection, within yourself, creates a sense of well-being within yourself, and that's where it starts. You have to feel good within yourself, and then you can go out and ready to change the world. Yeah.
Or at least go to work.
But the activities improve the brain-body hardware and establish or strengthen the neural connections that we use for better learning performance and attitude and spiritual growth. I mean, this has been my experience. And so, we teach what we need to learn. And so this, to me, has been a way for me to put together the mind, body, and spirit and make it all make sense to me. And I really like it that it meets each person where they are right now. I don't need to hear everyone's past stories, and whether if it's a child with a learning challenge, I've had a parent bring me like 2 inches thick of the progress reports and testing and things like that, and I'm not a teacher, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not that kind of a scientific type person. And I said, well, thank you for bringing this, and let's just see, where does your child want to go today with this? What would they like to have be easier for them to do?
And that's what you mean by the drawing out process of letting whatever it is within you or your child or your spouse or your business associate, allowing that what wants to be experienced and wants to be expressed in a very positive, connective way to happen. And I do think that that's where we are going, and we haven't lived it long enough, or if for some people haven't lived it at all, of that kind of connection and being seen and heard for exactly who you are, and who you are right now is okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect, whole and complete as you are right now, with, like Greg said, with the lightness and the darkness.
Right. It's honoring all those aspects of ourself, and sometimes things change, and sometimes we just simply learn to live with that and be okay with that. And it's the attitude. It's the attitude toward yourself that helps you propel yourself forward in the world. Like you said, like the example you gave me, you have seemed to come a piece of the fact that you're not a perfect speller.
Yeah.
And you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're okay with that, the rest of us are just going to go, oh yeah, and we'll perhaps gently correct you, or just leave it the way it is, and just know that whatever needs to be communicated has been communicated, because that is the goal of that. It's not the proper spelling; it's the communication.
Yeah, and actually, people have heard me on air now, so I'm actually okay with mispronouncing words too, because you know what? And that's part of my dyslexia, is I mispronounce it, and then when somebody goes to correct me, I will not be able to pronounce that word ever again in my life correctly. So, and I'm okay with it. Yep. So if it sounds like I'm making up words, well, kind of am.
Yep. And stress is one of the things that can aggravate dyslexia. When you're stressed about something,
stress aggravates everything. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. When we're under stress, that the energy for the brain areas of higher reasoning gets blocked, and the communication breaks down between the right and left hemispheres. So it becomes difficult to do and think at the same time.
Oh boy.
Sometimes I know that's for me. If I'm of an overwhelming amount of information, I actually have to physically stop and okay, I heard what you said, and I'm still processing it, and could you say it again, because I don't think I caught it the first time. It's hard for, and then I have to move to process it. That's I have to stop to hear it, and then I have to move to process what you said. And that's just me.
Interesting. And so many of us have been taught, to sit in a classroom, and it carries over into sit in a office cubicle or a boardroom, or sit on the bench while you watch your team. Right. The non-activity, so that and here's what I want to say about that. So in our society, that looks our English American society, sitting and behaving yourself it looks like the appropriate behavior, right? But
but it's not always, and I'm sure and most of the audience know that there are different types of learners. There are visual learners, there are auditory learners, there are kinesthetic learners. There are a combination of those things, So for a kinesthetic learner to be told to sit still and listen is the hardest thing that they can do. We recommend to teachers and parents, have that child sit on in the back of the room on one of those bouncy balls, physio balls, and give him a piece of clay or something to move his hands with. I sat next to a woman in a class once, and I am taking my notes all over, and she sat next to me knitting the whole time. Yeah, because she says, as long as I can keep my hands moving, I will remember everything that's said to me, and I don't have to take notes. Yeah, so that she was a kinesthetic. I have no
idea how you do that.
Yeah, I don't know how she does that either. There's an organization here in Ventura called the Learning Success Institute, and they do great work with kids, and they honor individuals' learning styles too. And I took classes with them where I learned that I'm not only a visual learner, but my preference is print compared to pictures.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So I thought, wow. So I did well in school. I was able to learn. My learning style fit what I was being taught, which is sit still and read this. That worked for me. My older son, his style is to listen to it and then talk to others about it.
Yeah,
that's how he processes. That's how he learns. So that was really a good class for me to take. So I would know that, yes, he is learning his stuff, though it looks like he's just chatting with his friends. That's what's going on there, that kind of learning.
And isn't it interesting? We're all so different and unique. So that one...
It's not one size fits all.
No.
It's really not.
And I think that's the other part of what has shifted in the last couple of years is that there's this awareness that one size does not fit all, and the powers that be, whoever they are, that the way the old modality became, we'll make a bunch of cookie cutter houses and everybody can live in those. But one size doesn't fit all.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's the same with jobs. Well, anybody can go get that kind of job. Well, that's not necessarily true.
Right.
There's different ways that we show up that, and to get to know yourself from the inside out, you have a better chance at quote unquote succeeding in life, or which I consider being happy in life.
Right.
When you know yourself from the inside out, and it's never, like you said earlier, it's never too late to learn. Our brain is constantly in that evolutionary renewal and learning facility.
Yep. It's really that. One of the other things that that brain gym has been used for, a few years ago when there was the tsunami hit Indonesia, and there was a lot of upset, of course, and strife and stress, and the instructors in Indonesia took this out to where the people were and had them do these activities to help reduce their stress, help them be able to perhaps see the bigger picture, to know that yes, that there are people who care, and it was really a humanitarian effort of using these activities not just to help people learn, but to help them live and move forward with this terrible crisis that had happened to them. So it's such a powerful thing. And again, what I really like and how I wanted to move it into Inspired Life Movement was to take this powerful learning modality and connect it with a powerful spiritual practice. And let's see where that could go. That sounds like an opportunity for a new change and new choices right there.
Yeah, and it's a very solid practice once you get you're making me think. I'm thinking now, Joyce, because what you just said, I think I can see where else Inspired Life Movement can go. Because so many times when there is that physical tsunami that happens, an episode of something, everybody rushes with the Red Cross and the water and the Doctors Beyond Borders and things like that. But this is something, what you just said, could be an even better way to help people.
It's a way to help people right now with this simple tool, and you don't need any props or you don't need any tools. You just need to be present with people. Which is a big part of counseling. Is here. I'm listening to you, and here's something that you can do. Here's a movement you can do with your own body that's going to help release the stress and keep you more present and keep you in your body rather than often panic and worry and that. And you might have to do it again in 10 minutes.
Well, especially if you've experienced a trauma.
Yeah.
Well, and that's so Inspired Life Movement is about connecting the heart with the head, and it's about the whole being becoming present within yourself to who you are now, not who you were, because you said you said you don't need the story. You don't need to know what happened before, but who you are now and what's the dream and where you want to go in your life from this point.
Yep, from this point now. This is where you are right now, and let's move forward, and here are some tools that you can learn that will take you forward on your own journey. It's good to have a session with an instructor or a brain gym person so that you can get this whole pattern down. And then a lot of it is just remembering to do the activities when you are in that upset or in that strife.
So if anybody wants to contact Joyce, you can do it through Joyce at livingyourinspiredlife.org. And talk to her more about the Inspired Life movement component of what we do. And I want you to read that Howard Thurman centering down quote.
Okay.
As we close out.
Okay. This is from American philosopher Howard Thurman. How good to center down. How good it is to center down, to sit quietly and see oneself pass by. The streets of our minds seethe with endless traffic. Our spirits resound with clashings, with noisy silences, while something deep within hungers and thirsts for the still moment and the resting lull. With full intensity, we seek, ere the quiet passes, a fresh sense of order in our living, a direction, a strong, sure purpose that will structure our confusion and bring meaning to our chaos. We are looking at ourselves at this waiting moment, the kinds of people we are. The questions persist. What are we doing with our lives? What are the motives that order our days? What is the end of our doings? What are we trying to go? Where do we put the emphasis, and where are our values focused? For what end do we make sacrifices? Where is my treasure, and what do I love most in life? What do I hate most in life, and to what am I true? Over and over the questions beat in upon the waiting moment. As we listen, floating up through all the jangling echoes of our turbulence, there is a sound of another kind, a deeper note which only the stillness of the heart makes clear. It moves directly to the core of our being. Our questions are answered, our spirits refreshed, and we move back into the traffic of our daily round with the peace of the eternal in our step. How good it is to center down.
And so it is. Namaste.